And welcome to Smiles by Mary. I'm Pat Dewar, and today's show is really going to be about insurance, dental insurance. And for most of us that look at those two words together, we'll go, oxymoron? Oh my gosh, those things don't connect real well. But our guest today is an expert in dental insurance, and he really is going to be addressing how you can, in a sense, get the most out of every insurance dollar and get the most service from your dentist along the way. So with that, Dave Swift, thanks for being on the show.
A pleasure, Patrick, as always.
Always, yeah. And we've done some things. So the one thing I want to do is get into this oxymoron. Why do you consider it an oxymoron?
Well, when people think of insurance, they think of medical insurance.
Right.
And medical insurance tends to pay for most of whatever your hospital, doctor bills happen to be, usually with very, very high limits that most people don't attain, like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million lifetime limits. Dental insurance and medical insurance both started about the same time in the late 60s. And at that time, dental insurance, like medical, had a $1,000 or $1,500 max per year. And the only difference is medical insurance has grown with the times and with the costs. Dental insurance is identical to what it was back in the 60s.
Ow.
It still has annual caps of between $750 and $2,500 depending upon the plan, and yet the cost of getting a crown done or having seeing the dentist has gone up just like medical costs have gone up. So patients come into a dental office thinking and they have insurance and they think it's going to cover them.
Right.
And it doesn't come close to covering them. And sometimes they get very upset. So part of what we want to do today is to help everyone understand what is dental coverage, dental insurance coverage, what are the different kinds of dental plans out there, because it starts with picking the right plan, because different plans constrain you or don't constrain you when it comes to going to the dentist you want to go to.
Well, and when you look at like the different types of insurance, there are a couple of different, 2-3 different recognized types. Why don't you cover those to start us with, and then we can go into some deeper dives.
Well, the premium one is called indemnity. And with indemnity, the insurance company will pay a certain amount based upon the particular place in town, geography, and they will pay that to you as the consumer, but you're responsible for paying the dentist directly and having paying whatever the dentist's full fee is.
Right.
The second type is PPO, and a PPO provides you usually two options. They will have a list of dentists who are in network, and if you go outside that list, it works exactly like indemnity. They will pay you, and you have to pay the full fee of the dentist you go to. However, if you go in network to one of the dentists who's actually contracted with the insurance company to provide dentistry services at specified rates, then you only have to pay what is usually a reduced fee versus the dentist's normal fee.
Right.
And the insurance company pays a portion and you pay a portion. And we'll get into what those portions are later. The third kind is DMO, or which is the dental version of an HMO that you may be familiar with. And in that case, you don't have the option to go outside the network. You have to see a dentist who's actually in the network. So those are kinds of the three differences when it comes to different plans.
Well, and in all of those, there's some form of a deductible, isn't there?
Correct. And the good news about it is the deductible for dentistry has also remained very low. It's only usually $50.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So that part is good. But then most of us, when we have medical insurance, have co-insurance of 70% or 80% or 90%, meaning the insurance company pays 70, 80, or 90, or in some cases 100% of the actual cost. With dental insurance, depending upon the procedure, if it's preventative or diagnostic, so you have a cleaning or you have x-rays taken, they'll usually pay 100% of what they call reasonable and customizable. The rub comes when you have a problem and you need a crown or a bridge or dentures or something like that. And then
when life shows up.
When life shows up, then you have to pay, you only have a 50% copay.
Oh.
So you got to pay half and the insurance pays half. Well, that means that if you have a $1,500 maximum on your policy, you have to spend $3,000 to get the money from the insurance company.
Oh.
And while that's easily done in today's world, because dental crowns can be costing almost that much, it's one of those things where you're paying money to essentially an insurance company, and you're still going to have to pay a whole lot more to get any benefits back from them.
How does that differ, like even with medical insurance? Just to, when you look at the two.
Well, when medical, as I said, depends on the plan you have. But if you have $3,000 of medical expenses and you have a 90-10 policy, then you're going to have $300 you have to pay, and they pay $2,700. Whereas with dental, you're paying $1,500, they're paying $1,500. And heaven forbid you have to have a $4,000 one, because that extra $1,000, because they've already gone up to your $1,500 max, is all out of your pocket.
One of the things I've heard a bit about are discount plans. How do discount plans apply to dentistry?
Well, discount plans have been put together by third parties because of the oxymoron nature of dental insurance, that they figure, well, you're better off, and in fact, if you have a lot of work that needs to be done, you are better off with a discount plan than you are with dental insurance, because you're getting a discount over the whole range of your costs, as opposed to you reach a cap and now it's all out of your pocket afterwards. But a discount plan is a third party who charges you a fee, usually around, for a family, $25 to $30 a month, for the right to go to a dentist they've contracted with, who will give them a percentage off their regular fee, or a specific fee if that happens to be the way they do it. And those fees are similar to PPO plan fees that are charged. But for example, if you spend $25 a month, and that's 12 months is $600 a year, and it's you and your wife, and it costs $125 to go in and see the dentist twice a year, well, you haven't saved anything.
Right.
So the only value it provides you versus going to the dentist without it is if you have major work that needs to be done. So from a strategy, it's probably best to find out what you need done, and then make a decision about, do I want to go buy one of these policies that'll at least discount what was going to be expenses in excess of what insurance would pay.
But chasing the cheapest dollar, so to speak, is not usually a good answer when you're talking about your looks, right?
Well, there's the cosmetic side, there's the health side, and if in fact what you're trying to do is reduce your expenses as much as possible, then yeah, look at it from the number standpoint. That's not always obviously the best way to do it, because there are variations in quality. Just because someone has DDS after their name does not mean that they're the same as somebody else who has DDS after their name. We forget it, those of us who've been in school. There were those who were at the top of the class and those who are at the bottom. The one thing about everyone who graduates from dental school, whether they're at the bottom of their class or the top, they all are called doctor. That doesn't mean they're the same. So one of the things that you do need to do is understand and try to find a dentist that you are comfortable with and have confidence in and feel safe with.
Are there better plans than other? And I will say this, one of the things that you guys need to understand, Smiles by Mary is, it's put on by Dallas Laser Dentistry in the DFW area. It's promoted all over the internet as well. So you may be watching this off of a Facebook post or something, and that's fine. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us. The one thing that we know is that prospects or potential clients and existing clients will watch these shows, and we want them to be educated so that, well, because we found that the best clients are the most educated, the ones that actually understand what to expect, how to expect it, and what they should do when they get there. That's the design behind Smiles by Mary, and so that's why we wanted to present this to you today. Now, as we go further, Dave, let's do a deeper dive. I mean, are there any of the plans that you're talking about, or anything that you're addressing here, that are like the best of the best?
Well, the best of the best is, in fact, an indemnity plan, because it will pay more for any given procedure than will a PPO or a DMO. Plus, it gives you the opportunity to go to any dentist that you want to. That is a drawback with the PPO plans or the DMO plans. DMO plans tend to have those doctors who are just starting out, because they're using it as a marketing tool to get new patients in. PPO plans are most offered now by major corporations. So you can have a mix of dentists just starting out and dentists who are experienced who offer PPO plans. But if I had the opportunity, I would take an indemnity plan every day, because it's going to pay a higher percentage, typically has higher overall limits in terms of annual, and I can go and see anybody I want.
Now, premiums probably are in accordance with that, right?
Correct. There is a difference in the premium you pay.
Right.
But it's not that different. It might be $10 more a month to be able to go and have indemnity insurance. The key is most people get their dental insurance through their company, just like they get their medical insurance, at least prior to the Affordable Care Act. And therefore, they are at the mercy of HR. What is being offered? Some companies don't even offer indemnity plans anymore, because when they've offered the choice, the employees, not being as educated as you all are going to be now, opted for the least expensive premium, which typically is the DMO,
right,
not really caring where they went. That's just the nature of business and the way it works. So,
now, you mentioned the Affordable Care Act. How is the Affordable Care Act going to affect dentistry or the dental insurance?
well, and it's not covered at all. The Affordable
really?
Care Act completely ignored dentistry as being worth covering. We disagree, of course, those who are in the dental field, but specifically, you cannot go to the Affordable Care Act site, the government site, when it finally does work, and choose a dental plan. That's got to come from an employer, or it has to be a discount plan that you go buy on your own.
And they can find a discount or indemnity or any of these other plans, most any insurance agent?
That's correct. Although although you can buy medical individual plans, there are very few, and they're tending to wither away, individual plans for dental.
Now, when you look at what insurance covers, whatever plan you go with, there's a number of items that are done, in other words, procedures, I guess they would be called, like periodontal type of work, or cosmetic, or some of these others. I'd like to get into a little bit of those, because they have some unique properties, don't they?
They do, and it's very important for you as a consumer, as a patient, to understand your insurance, because what you may or may not realize is that every insurance plan is different. In other words, I can have 5 people standing in front of me, all of whom have United Healthcare Dental, but they went and have different employers.
Right.
Every employer basically determines how much they want to pay for their plan, and therefore they may cover a different percentage. They may classify usual and customary as different, because usual and customary, which you'll see on the paperwork you get back after you've been to the dentist and have filed an insurance claim, sounds like, gee, usual and customary, that's what people usually charge. It's not. It's what your employer has contracted to be called usual and customary. And therefore, the insurance companies are using a little marketing trick to make it look like the dentist, if they charge more, is charging more than the average dentist, when in fact they may not be.
Right.
They're just charging more than what your employer wanted to pay towards your insurance.
But there's no way to really argue that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. It's just the insurance industry is kind of foisting this on the public.
That's a real insider trick. I
Yeah,
gotta tell
it
you.
is. It is. But one of the key ones that we want you to be aware of is the difference between getting a cleaning and having had deep cleaning and therefore seeing the dentist more frequently for what seems like a cleaning, but it's really called periodontal maintenance. You've been diagnosed for periodontal disease, and the doctor or the hygienist says, we need to see you more frequently than every 6 months. We need to see you every 4 months or every 3 months. And you say, well, does my insurance cover that? You shouldn't say that, by the way, because it's important for your health that they're telling you how often you should be there to maintain your health. But we're all human, we say, so does my insurance cover that? And very often they will answer, well, yes and no. And the difference is that many insurers, well, most insurers will only offer 2 periodontal cleanings a year, but they'll also offer 2 what are called prophies or prophylactic cleanings, what you would typically get as a cleaning when you go in the dental office. The difference is, one is without disease, it's to prevent disease, and the other one is you've already been diagnosed. If you are filing with your insurance company 2 of them as prophylactic and 2 of them as perio, you're essentially breaking the law.
Oh, really?
You're defrauding the insurance company because you're trying to get paid back for going to see the dentist for disease treatment and having them, but they're limiting you. Your policy only gives you 2 of those. You're trying to get money back for, I don't have a disease, but you do. So that's just one to watch out for. I don't think I've heard too much about insurance companies coming back on patients, but it's possible.
Well, one of the things, I mean, even with Dallas Laser Dentistry, I know that if you've got that situation, they do a lot of work on those, kind of 2 that are not covered to make sure that it's as affordable as possible, but yet you get the work that you need done. So
Correct.
Not to throw it, to throw a plug in there for them.
Well, it's you want to help the patient as much as possible, but you have to do it within the limits of
Correct.
the policy. And while there's always an attempt on the part of any dental office to be as aware as possible about the specific insurance each individual has, it's each patient's responsibility to know their own insurance and live within that. So the dental offices will try to prevent surprises as much as they can, where you think it's paid for, and then suddenly you get an extra bill because it wasn't.
What about orthodontics? I mean, my son had braces. He still has braces, in fact. And he's in college. I'm like, when are you going to get those things off?
Well, in terms of coverage of orthodontics, typically those 18 or even 19 and under are covered. Or if they start while they're that age, they
Right.
can be covered until they're finally pulled off, like your son.
Yeah, he started young.
Yeah, and so those are typically covered by most dental policies. The adult orthodontics, though, are not. And so if you never had orthodontics as a kid, your family couldn't afford it, or you didn't need it, and now you're an adult and you look in the mirror and you say, oh, I have crooked teeth, I really want to fix that, dental insurance probably isn't going to be available for that.
Are there any solutions for those?
Well, there's plenty of solutions in terms of actually fixing your problem. Adult orthodontics, Invisalign is the
I knew
biggest
that
solution.
we've talked about, on Mary's other interviews that Mary's done, she's talked about Invisalign, and if you want to explain that, what is that?
Well, Invisalign are invisible plastic aligners, kind of like mouth guards, but they're programmed to move your teeth a little bit with each pair that you put in, and you change them every 2 weeks. And they're literally created with CAD/CAM and all sorts of high-tech stuff, and take the place of braces. And what's beautiful about them is the fact that they're invisible. Unless you tell somebody you're wearing them, they won't know you're wearing them. You can remove them when you eat and when you brush and floss your teeth, but you end up wearing them about 22 hours out of 24 hours a day. So you sleep with them and you talk with them and you do everything except when you're eating. And it's a great way for adults to be able to straighten their teeth without anybody knowing about it.
Right. I mean, I've talked to Dr. Mary about it and having a couple of my teeth straightened, and it's a great program. But in those instances, they aren't covered by insurance.
It's typically not.
Thing,
now
I've
seen with some of the larger companies, employees have started to go back to HR and say, we would like this covered by insurance, and that's actually how it happens. Insurance companies do not want to pay anything they don't have to.
Right.
And so what it takes, since it's usually employers who are telling the insurance companies, this is what we want covered, the trick is get your employer to start telling that to the insurance company. So that and cosmetic dentistry is also typically not covered at all.
And those are like veneers or
veneers
implants?
And implants now didn't used to be, but now they're starting to be covered.
Nice.
Because the fact is there's not just cosmetic. You have to just organically fill that space if you lose a tooth, or everything will drift and now your bite won't work. So the insurance companies said, okay, we have to cover this after all. So I think the biggest thing that you have to be aware of if you're on PPO insurance, for example, is, and there's a myth out there that has to do with these dental chains.
Right.
And without naming any names, because they're different in different parts of the country, but the assumption is, gee, if you go to Walmart, it's not a dental chain, if you go to Walmart, because of their buying volume, you'll get the lowest price. And that's certainly what they sell.
Right.
Everyday low price, we buy in greater volume than everybody, so we give you the best prices. And the same thing is kind of assumed by consumers, because they've been trained by Walmart, when it comes to these chains that are out there that take the PPO plans or the HMO plans, and you just figure, okay, it's going to be cheaper if I go to an in-network chain than it would be if I go to an in-network regular dentist, a solo practitioner. And the reverse is true. In the case of the chains and dentistry, they use their power to basically get the insurance companies to raise the rates that they can charge.
Really?
Yes. It's the opposite. They have the power. They say, we can bring you all these patients and all this volume, but we want to be able to charge more. And so you actually get the lowest cost going to the solo provider, because they have no leverage to try to get a raise from the insurance company. It's counterintuitive, but it's just a myth, and it's cheaper. In fact, it's more expensive to go to those chains.
So if you go to the chains, if your insurance company covers, for you to go to the chain, you actually may end up paying.
You will pay more. You will pay more.
You will pay more.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what the procedure is. They've negotiated every procedure where they get to bump up how much is paid.
You do a lot of marketing with as the marketing guru that you are. You do a lot of work with dentists and such. But one of the things that I'm curious about in the insurance side of things is what are the things that you want patients and clients to know right now about their insurance and what they can do about it? What questions might they be asking? What people might they be, when they have the options, what should they be choosing?
Well, I think number one, don't let insurance drive your decisions when it comes to your oral health, because that's, the old, it'll cost you so much now and it's going to cost you more later, is particularly true when it comes to any oral health problems that you might have. And it's much cheaper, and you'll have much less out-of-pocket cost if you have to catch something and have a filling now than if you have to have a crown later because you put it off, because it may not have been covered, or you would have reached your annual maximum and had to go over it. But one of the tips, and many dental offices that accept insurance will work with you, is look at the last month of the year and the first month of the next year to have a whole bunch of work done. because what will happen is your insurance benefits reset January 1 every year.
Right.
And if it's a use it or lose it. So if you haven't used your 1,000 or 1,500 or whatever it is, and it comes to be December 31st, that's gone. The insurance company's fourth quarter profits are always much higher because now they can recognize all this unused premium.
Correct.
Okay. But most dentists will work with you, and certainly Mary will at Dallas Laser Dentistry, to plan something so we can essentially have you do stuff that may use both years' worth, and have you get right up, and what's done in December takes you right up to the max for December, and then the rest of it is done in January, and you get it done in normal time frames. You don't have to put it off, and you're done.
Well, that must mean a really busy season.
Well, yes, it's always good to plan ahead and make those appointments, and it's one of those things that we market to folks and remind them that don't let your benefits just disappear. You've paid whatever it is, even if it's only $25 a month and $600, you've paid your $600 to get $1,500 worth of benefits. Maybe you're healthy. If you are, great. But if you aren't, and then use it up.
So you would encourage, I mean, we've got a little bit of time here. You would encourage people to check it out. Where are they? How much do they have? If they can use it, go ahead.
Have that checkup. Do that part, because the checkup is 100% covered. So, right. As I said, you've already paid your premiums. You may as well. And then see what's there. Have them put a treatment plan together. Understand how much it's going to be, and then do it. If you can't, if it's more than the 1,500 or whatever your top is, then spread it over those 2 months, and you'll get it all taken care of.
Any other comments for the listeners today?
Well, I think one of the other things is just to watch out in terms of how long do they give you if you're going to an in-network provider to do a cleaning. One way that in-network providers make sure that they can handle the lower costs that they get back from insurance is to take less time. So sometimes you see half-hour versus hour appointments.
Very good. Well, with that, this is Smiles by Mary. I'm Pat Dewar. Dave Swift has been the guest today, and he's been talking about, well, how to best use your insurance. And I know that, like we started with, insurance is a bit of an oxymoron, but we've given you some keys today. This is Pat Dewar here with Smiles by Mary. We'll talk to you next time.